Hello children, how are you? Okay, we have completed all the topics related to human circulation, animal circulation and other topics like blood pressure, blood clotting, lymphatic system. These are all the topics we have already covered. Today we are going to learn about plants, circulation in plants. How does circulation occur in plants? First we'll be learning about transport of water in the plants. After that, we'll study about root pressure and we'll do experiment related to root pressure. Later on, we'll be doing experiment to show that phloem. We'll discuss an experiment to show that phloem helps in transport of food. Let's get started with observing the science behind absorption of water by roots. Transport of water and salts in plants. Today we will be discussing how water and salts get transported in the plants. In the soil, salt is present and water is present. So these two will mix up to form a salt solution. The salt that is present in the soil mixes up when we supply water to the soil, when we water the plant or when there is rain. But because we supply excess of water to the plant, it is usually a dilute salt solution that is formed in the soil. Compared to the second solution that is present inside the roots of the plant, the solution that is inside the soil is a dilute solution. In the soil, we can see that roots of the plant have small hairs. These hairs grow on the epidermal layer of the roots, which help in absorption of water and minerals from the soil. So this root hair has an extension of cytoplasm which is present inside the epidermis. Now we can see that the concentration of solution that is present inside the cell is more compared to the concentration of solution that is present outside. Cell sap has more concentration and soil salt solution has less concentration. So this here we are getting the situation which is very much suitable for osmosis to occur. What is required for osmosis? A hypertonic solution, which is nothing but a higher concentrated solution, and a hypotonic solution or a lower concentrated solution, which are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. So in this case also we can see that cell sap is having higher salt concentration and soil salt solution is very less, and which are separated by the semi-permeable membranes, that is the membranes of the epidermal cells. Now the situation suits very well for the absorption of water from soil into the cell sap, because in case of osmosis, water moves from low concentration region to a higher concentration region. Once the root epidermal layer is absorbing water, it is getting more amount of water compared to the inner cortical layer cells. So what happens now is, because of osmosis again, the cell water moves from epidermal layer to inner cortical layer. That is nothing but epidermal layer is having low concentration of salts and cortical cells are having higher concentration of salts. Again they are separated by semi-permeable membrane. So the water starts moving inside by taking the salts also along with it. The salts that are easily that can be easily passed through the semi-permeable membrane are dissolved in this water, and these salts are carried along with water during the ascent of this water. This movement of water from roots to parts of plant above the ground is called as ascent of sap. This water molecules which enters into the cortical cells does not stop there itself. They gradually move from layer to layer to enter into xylem vessel, which is the actual cells in the plants which are responsible for transport of water and minerals in the plants. The xylem vessels are present in the center of the root or stem. So the water that is entering into the epidermal layer of the roots gradually moves into cortical cells. From cortical cells it moves into the next layer, that is nothing but endodermis of the root, followed by which it gradually enters into the xylem of the plant. In xylem, two forces act together. The chemical and physical properties of water and the composition of walls of xylem both help to transport water from roots to leaves. What happens here is the xylem vessels are having a special property, that is they are made up of two substances. One is lignin and second one is cellulose, which has strong attraction for water molecules. This attractive force is called as adhesive force. The force with which the lignin and cellulose bind the water molecules is called as adhesive force, because of which water molecules are attracted towards the walls of xylem vessels and keep moving forward. This is one of the force that is acting. Second force that acts to bring the water into the xylem is called as cohesive force. Cohesive force is a attraction between water molecules and water molecules. This attraction is a strong attraction due to formation of hydrogen bonds between water molecules. Because of the formation of hydrogen bonds, the water molecules which are already present in the xylem attract the next water molecules and they themselves are pushed forward. Whenever a new water molecule is added in the place, the molecule that is already present there moves forward. In this way, a continuous sheath of water keeps on forming inside the xylem vessels, which helps in transport of water, and those salts which are dissolved in water also gets transported along with this water. So here two forces of attraction are working together to bring about transport of water and salts in the plants. First of all, by the process of osmosis, water is entering into the roots. After that, the attraction of lignin and cellulose present in xylem for water molecules called as adhesive forces, together with water molecules attraction towards themselves called as cohesive forces, bring about the movement of water molecules. The pressure exerted by the water molecules absorbed by root hairs is called as root pressure. Now here children how roots absorb water. Yes? Let us study about root pressure. Root pressure. The concept of root pressure can be understood when we take a plant and cut it at its base level. We can see that some amount of water is oozing out from that part of the stem that is left over in the ground. This is the cell sap that is coming out. Why does it come out? Because of root pressure that is exerted at the root level. What is this root pressure? We'll understand the concept of root pressure. In our previous video, I said you that by the process of osmosis, water enters from roots into the plant. This water is carried to the upper layers of plant. Even to a plant which is of great height, the water is pushed up. So I said you cohesive forces and adhesive forces together bring up this water. Why is it called as a root pressure? I'll say you the reason. The water salt solution that is present inside the soil particles, because of osmosis it enters into the epidermal layer. From epidermal layer it enters into cortical cells. At this cortical cells, the cortical cells gradually take up the water that is given up by the epidermal hair slowly, gradually, and they become expanded. That is, when the water is being absorbed by the plant cells, the plant cells cell wall is plasma membrane is very flexible, and as much as it can expand, it will expand, and this cell is said to be turgid and full tight. It will be at this position. So because of which a pressure will be exerted on the next layer of cells, that is endodermis. Gradually the water moves from cortical cells into endodermis, and the cortical cells will return to normal size. This process continues until the water enters into xylem. This forms a continuous layer of water from soil particles to xylem. Even after that, now you see the pressure is there, cohesive forces are there, adhesive forces are there. This all pushes the water towards the xylem, and gradually the water starts moving into the xylem vessels in the upward direction, taking the water in upward direction, a process which is called as ascent of sap. So this is called as root pressure. Root pressure is a pressure exerted by water molecules that come inside. These water molecules exert an inward pressure which help in movement of water towards up top, which is against the gravitational force. This is called as root pressure. This can be clearly understood when we do an experiment related to root pressure. So let us observe an experiment related to root pressure. So now I'll be demonstrating you an experiment related to root pressure, so that we can understand that root pressure, how does root pressure occur in plants. So this is an experiment to demonstrate root pressure in plants. So once again, let us see, before we go into experiment, what is root pressure. Root pressure is nothing but the pressure exerted by water molecules that are absorbed by root hair. The water molecules that are absorbed by root hair exert a pressure on the inner cortical layers as well as endodermis layer. So this pressure that is exerted by water molecules which is absorbed by root hair is called as root pressure. This root pressure helps to push the water upwards by few meters, sometimes as tall as an eucalyptus tree or a palm tree also gets water to the topmost part of the plant, part of the tree, because of this root pressure. So root pressure helps in upward movement of water, and it helps to supply water to leaves in small plants and small tree also. Apart from root pressure, we have transpiration also that helps in ascent of sap. So let us see what is the material required for doing the experiment of root pressure. We need a potted plant, a rubber tube, a tape, an iron stand, a glass tube. So these are the materials required. So let us get started with the experiment. So first we need to take the potted plant. This potted plant should be watered very well so that the experiment of root pressure is very clear. A plant which is in dry soil cannot show a very good experiment results. So a well watered potted plant should be taken and it should be cut at the stem portion. You can use an axe, axe blade we say it, to cut the stem of the plant. This stem of the plant which we are cutting will be removed and the lower layer remains intact with the soil. Now we need to connect a glass tube. Now the stem of the plant and the glass tube should be exactly equal, then only the glass tube will be fitted into this stem of the plant. We need to put it tightly by using the rubber tape which we have taken, or rubber tube that we have taken, so that water that is coming out should be collected in the glass tube. It should not escape out of the tube. Then only we can understand whether water has oozed out or not. So be careful to put this glass tube or tightly, that means not leaving any gaps, by fixing the rubber tube firmly and or by using the tape. Now we are fixing this glass tube to a stand by using a clamp, so that the glass tube does not fall off. We'll pour some water in the glass tube initially and mark the level of water that is present in the glass tube. This is a glass tube with markings, so easily we can mark the amount of water that is present inside this glass tube. We can see that it is near 2 ml range. So this should be noted down. This is noted down as first level of water. Now we need to pour water into the potted plant and leave the arrangement for 2 to 3 hours undisturbed. Now we are leaving this well-watered potted plant which is fixed with a glass tube for 2 to 3 hours. Let us see what happens after 3 hours. Initially, when we started the experiment, we poured some water into the glass tube which is 2 ml. We have noted that it is 2 ml first level. Now after the experiment, we can see that the level of water is raised. It's clear that the level of water is raised. Approximately it is, we can say it is 2.5 ml of water is present now. That means 0.5 ml level raise in the water can be seen. So this increase in water level in the glass tube indicates that the root has absorbed some water, and that water, because of pressure, it started raising and that got collected in the glass tube. So this is one of a very important experiment, children. It helps us to understand that root pressure. So you need to learn this experiment thoroughly, children.
I think that is clear, children. Now we'll be seeing how can we prove that phloem helps in transport of food.
Experiments with aphids. With our previous discussions and experiments, we know that xylem helps in transport of water and minerals in the plants. So which are the cells that help plant in transport of food material that are produced from leaf? From leaf, this food is to be transported to other parts of the plant where it is actually required. So for this, phloem is a tissue that helps in transport of food material in the plants. So to prove that, we have an experiment that is done with the aphids. So how to do that experiment, we'll see now, children. First of all, let us understand that food is transported through phloem that is present in the inner layers of plant, which is just below the bark of the plant. Below the bark of the plant, phloem is present in the stem region. So that is why we are doing experiments. See, this is a very thin inner layer. Testing this inner layer and understanding that food is going inside or not, it's not possible. So what scientists did is they selected a organism which feeds on sugars of plant. Sugars of plant, this sugars usually pass through the phloem, we know that. But at that time, scientists did not understand from where the insect is sucking the sugars. So to understand that and to understand how this transport of food material is taking place in plants, a situation was taken in which the aphid was seen when it was on the stem sucking the plant juices for itself. So what the scientists did is, when the aphid's proboscis was put in the cell sap, then they killed the aphid. So aphid of proboscis is the best device to obtain the cell sap from the sieve tubes. So what they did is, the insect was allowed to bite the stem, and when it is sucking the fluid from the stem, at that time they kill that aphid insect when it is in the feeding stage. So what happens after that is, when the feeding insect is killed and the proboscis is still inside the stem, at that situation they cut the other parts of this aphid, small creature, except proboscis. Proboscis was left inside the stem. When it pierced the proboscis inside the stem, it was killed and everything of its body was cut except the proboscis that is present inside the stem. So this is we know that the proboscis is inside the phloem sieve tubes, but at that time the scientists did not have any knowledge about till which region this proboscis is pierced. So this proboscis, once it was cut off, they started seeing small amount of liquid was coming out of this, just like there was a hole, and through that hole the liquid was slowly dropping. It was like that. The proboscis was slowly giving out small drops of sugar solution from that. So immediately they took that part of stem in which the proboscis was pierced, and they cut the part of the stem in that region and observed very keenly where this proboscis is ending. So gradually they observed that the piercing region where this proboscis is present is identified as the inner region of stem, that is phloem. So what is done is, I'll say you once again, understand it, children. An aphid is killed while it is in act of feeding, and the body was carefully cut away, leaving the hollow proboscis still inserted into the phloem of the stem. So what happened after that? Slowly the phloem sugar solution that is present inside the phloem, or the food material that is present in the phloem, started oozing out of this hollow proboscis that is inserted into the phloem sieve tubes. Same like in the case of xylem, phloem also continuously transfers the food material, because the leaves produce the food material continuously, and the food material is being transported into the phloem sieve tubes continuously, because of which a pressure is exerted in the phloem sieve tubes. This pressure is the reason why the sugar solution present inside the phloem sieve tubes comes out through the hollow proboscis. So the fluid that is present inside the phloem slowly exudes from the cut end of the proboscis in the form of small droplets. Now the scientists took this liquid that is dropping out of this hollow proboscis, and they slowly dissected the first of all they tested this solution, and it was found to be sucrose solution. So there is no chance of being from anywhere except the phloem. So they confirmed that it is oozing out of phloem, but by dissecting the stem gradually, and they saw that the proboscis of this epiphyte is extended till the phloem sieve tubes of this stem of the plant. So by this it was concluded that phloem helps in the transport of food material from leaves to different parts of the plant. Okay, this is one of the experiments to show that phloem helps in transport of food material. We have another experiment, nothing but tree ringing experiment, which also helps to understand that phloem helps in transport of food material in the plants. Let us see what is that experiment. So in tree ringing experiment, or otherwise it is called as girdling experiment, in the stem region xylem is towards inner side and phloem is just below the bark region. So in this experiment what is done is, the part of the stem including the bark and phloem is removed in the form of a small girdle or in the form of a small ring. In a small portion of the stem, this bark and phloem of the stem are removed by keeping the xylem intact. Xylem is not disturbed so that water and minerals from the soil get conducted into the plant, and plant should survive also. Only thing is phloem and bark are cut off to understand whether phloem what is the role of phloem. That can be easily understood with the help of this experiment. Leaving this setup, make sure that phloem is a set of tissue which helps in transport of food material. So if you leave the setup in the plant and leave it for a few days or sometime even few hours, you can see that the portion of phloem that is above the stem, above the ring which we have cut, will be swollen. Why? Because we know that in the upper region of the plant the leaves are there which produce the food material. After the food is produced by the leaves of the plant, gradually it starts distributing into the different parts of the plant. So it moves down from leaf region to the lower regions. So because of this movement from leaf region to lower region, the phloem helps in transport of food material. So this phloem gets swollen just above the ring which we have cut, because there is no chance for movement of food further. Whatever food is present in that phloem stops there, and it accumulates and accumulates, and gradually it leads to swollen trunk. So this swollen trunk is a clear evidence that the phloem is having the food material and it is helping in transport of food material. Because of lack of phloem in this ring which we have cut down, the phloem has accumulated that food material and has swollen. So this ringing experiment can be used to remove unwanted plants from field also. By ringing, plants will not get food, it cannot grow also.
Yeah, that makes it clear, isn't it? I hope so. Okay, with this I am ending today's video. You can rewatch it if you want it. Keep learning. Pay attention on your studies, children. Bye.